Hello, 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 kings and queens and everybody in between. I'm back with another episode of the Goddess Complex. It is February at the time that you're listening to this. We are fresh into 2025. I'm sure some chaos has already popped off in the collective, but you can come here for some peace, some sanctuary, some safety. If you're new here, welcome home. I'm Ashley Michelle, your host and resident witch, and we have a friend of the Goddess Complex coming on today. If you've been an avid listener, you've probably heard Sasha's episode before where we talked about spirituality and motherhood. 10 out of 10 would recommend. It is in the history of episodes. Don't forget to make sure to watch the visual on the YouTube. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We are on the road to 2K on the YouTube now. We built everything else up. Now let's build up the YouTube. Um, yeah, Sasha is a previous client of mine, become such a good friend of mine, and I've just watched her business blossom and bloom. And we have a really juicy conversation for you all today. So you already know the drill. Give us a 5-star review, share the episode with a friend, share it with your partner, share it with a loved one, share it on the gram. All of Sasha's stuff will be down below. But let's let her introduce herself. Say hi to the people, girl. How you doing?
Hi. I love coming on here. I love chatting with you. Don't get
I
to do it enough.
know, right? I know. I
There's like
know.
random phone calls that we have out of the blue when I'm like in the
I
middle of dinner
know.
and it's 4 o'clock your time and bullshit like that.
And so
Time
why
zones
is
are a
that?
test.
Where are you
Oh,
calling
because
from?
I'm in South Australia. I
Mm,
live in outback, but fuck nowhere, South Australia.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Sasha. I am the Pagan Homemaker, and you can find me at the Pagan Homemaker on Thing. I only use Instagram actually. Don't go looking for me on TikTok and shit like that because I won't be there.
Uh,
Um, I'm a mum of three. I think was I pregnant when we recorded last time? I can't remember.
I think you were getting ready to pop.
Yeah, that's right. I was
Yeah.
about to give birth, wasn't it? Yeah. So I had a little
Hmm.
boy. He's not little anymore. So I'm a mum of three. My twin daughters are about 4.5. My son is about 1.5. Um, I'm a retreat facilitator. Just finished my kinesiology certificate.
Very cool.
So stepping into multidimensional soul healing, as well as astrology, tarot. I'm an aromatherapist. I have a shop and I ship internationally. You've had some of
Mm,
my stuff before, Ash, haven't
I
you?
have.
So yeah, that's me. Um,
What are
yeah.
your big three?
Oh, my big three, of course. I am a Gemini sun, an Aquarius moon, like you, Ash, and
Hmm.
a Leo rising.
Spicy
Yeah. I
combination.
like to talk. I like to learn.
Hmm.
Um, I'm very good at shouting it from the rooftops. I quite
Yeah,
like being the center of attention.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I
Same.
have I have deep mission. I have deep mission
Hmm.
here. I have a lot to
Yeah.
share and I have a lot to do.
Let's talk about that. What does deep mission mean to you? And what
Oh,
what do you think your deep mission is?
it's definitely, I mean, and a lot of this was seeded by you, Ash, and like our initial workings together like 3 years ago. I didn't know what a star
Yeah,
seed was until I met you.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I've really, really in the last couple of years really come into this understanding of my mission. And it for me, like my origin story is infertility and endometriosis and depression and alcoholism. And I have another episode you can go and listen to about that. Um,
Hmm.
but it's really about I find that my job is a way shower. It is my job to go through the things that I have had to go through because they aren't unique to me
Hmm.
and to heal from the things that I've meant to heal from because they're
Hmm.
not unique to me and to show other people that this is possible and that this is part of our primarily mothers. We're all women. I have quite a strangely high percentage of child free by choice. Like we'll never have children, women in my universe who resonate with these messages
Interesting.
just as strongly. And we talk about, ideal client avatars, and mine is usually like I'm talking
Hmm.
to mothers, but that doesn't preclude the non-mothers. And I do have these women who will
Hmm.
never have children. who,
Yeah.
yeah, are in my DMs having the exact same experiences completely independently of the whole breeding side of
Yeah.
things. But to
Yeah.
show that these things are possible, healing is possible, serenity is possible. And this is how we come together and collectively ascend and make the world a better place, because it's tough
Mm-hmm.
out there. It's tough
Mm-hmm.
out there.
Yeah. I love that you brought up this idea of being a way shower because I was just like
Mm,
ciphering about this morning after meditation and kind of just like having this like bird's eye view look at the collective and all these changes that are happening in the collective when it comes to personal development, spiritual development, what's happening in our political systems all around the world, our
mm.
government, war, all of it, genocide, all of
Health,
it,
healthcare,
health, healthcare,
food,
food,
water,
all
all
of
of
it.
it. Yeah.
It to me, it feels like and I'm specifically speaking to the millennial era, it
Hmm.
feels like we have adopted this soul contract of ushering in this new age
Well, Pluto and
where
Scorpio.
exactly that's where I wanted to go. Exactly. Pluto and Scorpio. I'd love to cipher about that for a little bit. So, friends, if you're
Let's do it.
listening and you're like, what the fuck are these hosts talking about? We're going to get a bit into generational astrology right
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
And those outer planets, they take quite some time to move. And so many of us millennials have some of these indicators or points in our charts that are the same.
Yeah.
So Sasha and I both would have Pluto and Scorpio, but maybe her Pluto is in the second house and mine is in the fifth house. But we
Hmm.
both have Pluto and Scorpio, as many of you all are listening to us. What does Pluto and Scorpio mean to you as it relates to the collective and this idea of ushering in this new era?
Yeah. It's about going deep and transforming.
Yeah.
It's intense. Like it's intense. And what I find really interesting about the way Pluto transits is
Mm-hmm.
that it's an elliptical orbit. And so it doesn't spend an
Mm-hmm.
equal amount of time in each sign. And
Right.
Pluto in Scorpio has the least amount of time. Like Pluto spends the least
Mm.
amount of time in Scorpio. It's only 8 years.
That's it.
And people will be like, oh, millennials are from this year to this year. No, bitch, millennials have Pluto and
Mm.
Scorpio. If
Yeah.
you're a Pluto in Sag, you're what's next? Disease. And if you're a
Mm-hmm.
Pluto in, hold on, my brain, is that Libra? Libra,
Mm-hmm.
you're a Gen X. And that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But there's not that many of us really that
No.
are really like to transform. And if you look at like
Mm-hmm.
looking at that generational astrology, you go through it, what was Libra, you look at Gen Z as Pluto and Libra, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones that get overlooked all the time. It's
They
hilarious, and
do.
they because
Yeah.
they're not here to rock the boat.
Yeah.
And they weren't here to make any major changes. They weren't the
Mm-hmm.
generation that transformed technology, that grew up in the and that
Mm-hmm.
kind of. I mean, and they did
Mm-hmm.
too, but not in the same core way that we did. And you go back, Pluto. I really see Pluto in Virgo, those boomers as being like they were the generation that were meant to heal
Yeah.
after the world wars and everything else. Like so
Right.
much hope was placed on those
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, the virginal nature of Pluto in
Mm-hmm.
Virgo was like
Maybe
you are the
that,
healer,
purity, right? Yeah.
the healer element. They were meant to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was hard. Like you can't put all that pressure on a generation in the way that was. Like Pluto and Scorpio hasn't had the societal pressures coming out of World War to change things. We're
Mm-hmm.
just Scorpioing
Mm-hmm.
our way into it. And so yeah, I've had a chat with my healer as well, and a lot of people about how tough it was to be Pluto in Virgo and to
Yeah.
be a boomer and to have that and to carry that weight, knowing that you were supposed to do that. And that I think is a difference between having astrology and knowing astrology, one of those things that helps guide you, and that
Mm-hmm.
you go, oh, this is coming, I can life hack my way through this, and having like the
Mm-hmm.
entire weight of the world pressing down upon you, really challenging. And you look the other way and you go like, what comes next? Pluto in Sagittarius, they're expanding everything that we started,
Aren't they?
everything that
Yeah.
we every like idea seed that we planted, they're expanding on it, because
They
Sagittarius is
are.
expansion, is opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
um and Pluto and Capricorn generation just finished, and I really see them as
Mm-hmm.
they're anchoring this new paradigm in
Mm-hmm.
Capricorn, earth sign. their
Mm-hmm.
their generation is really here to anchor in all of the things that we came and fucked up,
Right.
the status quo that we changed, that the
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarian Pluto's expanded upon and integrated, because that's another thing that Sagittarius is really was integrate. Scorpio does all like the
Mm-hmm.
deep, dark, and scary.
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarius makes it work.
Yeah.
Capricorn coming along now is going to anchor it in. It's actually going to
Yeah.
anchor in the new paradigm before our Pluto in Scorpio, in Aquarius, which will start being born, tomorrow, will come and fuck shit up again.
Right. And
They're going to
tomorrow
change
is
the
in the time
paradigm all
when,
over again. Oh, sorry, from
yes.
the time we're recording, by the
Yeah, the
time we're
time we're
listening,
recording.
yeah. Thank you. You're
Hmm.
much better at this than I am. For me, it's still definitely November.
I'm just used to it.
Pluto moves into
Um,
Aquarius tomorrow, live time, and
uh,
it'll be well and truly in Aquarius by the time this is dropped. So, brand new generation of kitties coming along.
yeah, and I don't know. I'm super excited about Pluto and Aquarius just because
Hmm.
we can already see it starting in so many ways.
Yeah.
Pluto rules government, and we are looking at blame it on our Aquarius moons, but I'm a rebel without a
Oh my
cause right
God.
now. Burn the shit to the motherfucking ground, honey, and start again.
My moon, my Aquarius moon is at 0 degrees.
Ooh.
So it's like Pluto's already crossed my moon, retrograded over my
Mm-hmm.
moon. It's gone back over it
Mm-hmm.
again, like, in the next week or
Yeah.
two. And then it
Yeah.
comes up on my Saturn. So I got
Hmm.
Saturn at 6 degrees Aquarius. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
about the time
I,
this is launching. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that's interesting though. So like, Aquarius energy and in general, and especially Aquarius moons, I like to say like it's a rebel without a cause. Like we are the
Hmm.
freedom fighters. We are fighting for like a bigger cause. We want like fuck the patriarchy in a big goddamn way. And Pluto and Aquarius, when we're looking on a collective level, we are really seeing that wool that's been over our eyes just like finally being like taken
Hmm.
off. Like everything we thought we knew, we really didn't know. And a lot of people already knew that. A lot of people, especially in the spiritual community, already knew that we were being lied to, already knew there was so much that we didn't know, already knew that our food was killing us, already knew all of these things, that big pharma is always going to be big pharma. But now we've got the muggles, the sleepwalkers, the humans humaning being like, wait a second. I think that tarot reader over there had a point. Hold
Yeah.
on, that conspiracy theorist, I think might have been on to something. They're
Mm.
finally picking up what we've been putting down for so long
I
in
mean,
in
it
the
wasn't there even
shadows.
there was a congressional hearing on UFOs this
Yes,
week,
there
wasn't there? Yes,
was.
there
I've been
was.
buzzing all about it.
Like, you can't pretend that it's not real anymore.
Yeah, you
And
can't.
if you
You can't.
are, and this is where, people's cognitive dissonance and their triggers kick in and their critical
Hmm.
thinking skills go to shit. And I get
Yeah.
that because I've been there and we still do that. Like
Yeah.
we're still human.
Yeah.
Our critical thinking skills go to shit in different areas. We have
Hmm.
our biases
Hmm.
and our triggers, and that's
Hmm.
perfectly acceptable. But it's about recognizing those and going, oh, why am I so triggered by this alien idea? Because one, it doesn't
Yeah.
really affect me day to day, but
Right.
it's it's real. There's
It's
no
it's
pretending it's
it's
not
this
real anymore.
idea, right? Well, it's this idea that the paradigm, like
Mm,
everything we thought we knew, we don't know. It's this idea of not being on solid ground anymore. And what do I always say? The ego likes to stay in spaces of comfortability.
hmm
So if you
hmm
got people like the boomers, like, the Gen Xers who really couldn't fathom the idea of aliens, I personally feel like the idea of UFOs, UAPs, whatever the fuck we want to call them, living beings that are not human was an idea that I think millennials, and not even all millennials, but a small percentage of millennials were like, I could get behind that.
mm.
And so now that we are seeing, aliens being spoke about in a big way, I think it really is rocking a
And,
lot of people to
and
the
not just
core.
that, it's the remembering that comes
The
with this.
remembering, yeah.
It's the
Good point.
remembering. It's
Mm-hmm.
uh, because you can't. It's very difficult to know something until you're
Mm-hmm.
exposed to it. Like,
Yeah.
how can you know that a food is safe to eat until someone tells you a food is safe to eat?
Right.
How can you know that you like that food until
Right.
someone else says, "Oh, I like this food"? And in the same way, how can you remember your divinity or your
Mm-hmm.
starseed heritage until someone tells you that there's a starseed thing or
Mm-hmm.
aliens start becoming mainstream? And
Mm-hmm.
then you go,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you know what? And it's like I said, some of you, like you're one, I'm not, that has known this their entire life, who's
Mm-hmm.
known their divinity and their heritage and has had that some level of that remembering
Mm-hmm.
since they were small children.
Right.
Others, like me, have been working this out as grown-ass adults. Mine was Saturn return. My Saturn
Mm,
return was when everything shifted for me. I've been a witch for 20
hmm.
years. I got my first book
Yeah.
on Wicca when I was 13.
Hmm.
But remembering, really, truly remembering my divinity, remembering my heritage, remembering that my soul has lived multiple lifetimes and is
Right.
actively right now living multiple lifetimes across
Yeah.
multiple dimensions,
Hmm.
that that didn't happen to my 30s.
Right.
But as these disclosures happen, and I mean, the internet has been amazing for this too. You know, if you didn't accidentally find a book in an op shop or in an attic somewhere, or receive those downloads from somewhere, where were you going to get this information? But this
Hmm.
age of technology, and again, like age of Aquarius, like this is more of this, right? We're gonna this is if anyone's listening to this, like, oh yeah, I'm starting to be feeling this. Like, it's gonna ramp up. It's
Yeah.
gonna it's
We are
gonna
we
become
are we
more.
haven't even cracked it
We
open yet.
it is we're barely scraping like the tip of the iceberg that is
I
the
know,
age of
I'm so
Aquarius.
excited. So
Like, we've got
excited.
like another 100 years of this procession of the equinoxes
Hmm.
before we move, until the equinoxes move into Aquarius. But it starts
Right.
here. It
Right,
starts with
right,
Pluto.
right.
We've got the North Node and South Node will move into the aspecting Aquarius in like another 2 years.
Hmm.
That's going to be another, that's going to unwrap another collective remembering when the
Hmm.
nodes move in and start aspecting Aquarius as well. Like, there's all these little bits, that are just slowly chipping away at the iceberg of disclosure and remembrance.
Yeah. I hope you all are listening because the astrologers were right. Us astrology folk have been talking about this. And speaking of that, you all can read books by astrologers from decades ago who
Mm.
were talking about where the time we're living in right fucking now. There are astrologers on this earth right now writing about where we're going to be at 10 years from now. I just love astrology because it really is a blueprint. It's a fucking
It
map,
is a
a
blueprint.
beautiful map that we've been given that not enough people are utilizing.
And I mean, it's not to say that it's always perfect either. You know,
Hmm.
I was listening to about the Mayan calendar and that
Yeah.
2012, like
Hmm.
that, but that's, that was, remember, that's sensationalized. That what
Hmm. It
the
was
end of the world
sensationalized.
with the
Yeah.
Mayan calendar, like that
Yeah.
particular astrological event in the timeline of those people was significant. And there has huge shifts since 2012. Like,
Right.
you go back
Right.
to that, you look at how we were the 10 years before and the 10 years after that,
Hmm.
totally different worlds.
Yeah.
Um, there's always going to be a lens, there's always going to be bias, and there's always going to be clickbait articles. Like, how
Yes.
many times a
Yes.
year do you see about the 13th zodiac sign?
Oh my
Like, probably
God.
twice a year. Like,
Uh,
suddenly the astrologers will get these, there's a 13th sign, I'm not a Sagittarius anymore. I'm like, sit down, this happens once a year, it's fine, you're still a Sagittarius.
literally, I get so irritated by
Happens
it. You're
every
still a
year.
fucking Sagittarius. It's okay.
Because, and this is then seeing through that veil, is
Hmm.
the clickbait. And this is going to
Hmm.
get harder too. Like, as we go into Age of Aquarius, you got to think about the role that AI is playing. Even before that, the algorithms, they
Yeah.
know. Like, I will talk about a water filter,
Then all
and
of a
I'll have
sudden,
it's on my Instagram apps.
same.
Suddenly, it's there every time.
So
Like, the
weird.
algorithms, and it's already tracking us. It already knows. It's already listening. Big
Hmm.
Brother's what? And people who don't think Big Brother's watching, there's the evidence. It's going, in some ways, it's going to get a lot
Right.
harder to discern the truth.
Yeah.
And this is where I find, for me, the lesson, like, we'll talk about Aquarius, is always like, it's about community and social justice and the
Hmm.
whole. But for me, it's always about the serenity of the individual,
Mm.
because
Mm.
Aquarius isn't about homogeneity. It's not about everyone being the same. It's not about a
Right.
community where everyone is the same. It's about a community where everyone's individual gifts and knowledge
Hmm.
and what they have to offer creates a really beautiful, strong whole. So
Hmm.
you can't see what other people are doing and go, I want that. You have to go inside. That's what Aquarius teaches us. You got to go inside to find your freak
Exactly.
flag and let your freak flag fly with whatever skill. Like, if you thought this is a community, not everyone can
Hmm.
be a farmer, not everyone can be a wet nurse,
Hmm.
not everyone can be a warrior. And you can't have only warriors, and you can't have only wet nurses, and you can't have only
Hmm.
farmers. You need to have a mix of that. And people's individual skills and talents are what make the community, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, that it's going
Whole,
to whole, but sustainable.
sustainable. Yeah.
Sustainable. You can't have a sustainable community if everyone's trying to do the same thing, or if
Right.
no one's doing that job.
Right.
You need a shit kicker. Everyone's got a role to play, but you have to know what your role is. And you have to listen to
Hmm.
your own internal messaging and your own internal, like, and what your guides are telling you
Mm-hmm.
Because if you try to listen to what the internet is telling you, the news is telling you, what even us as other astrologers are telling you, you've got
Mm-hmm.
to filter it through the lens of your own self, of your
Mm-hmm.
spirit, of your soul, of your human.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the age of Aquarius thing is going to bowl you over because the discernment's going to get hard.
I love that. Let's flesh that out a little bit more.
Let's do it.
How do these concepts and ideas trickle into your soul work and how you work with your clients, with people, with the collective?
I mean, example from just this morning, one of my coaching clients is struggling to conceive. She's older, she wants to have a
Mhm.
baby, and she listened to the narrative that she's too old to have babies.
Mm,
She's 45. She
mhm,
listened to the narrative, I'm too old to have babies. So she went straight to the fertility clinic to do
mhm,
the IVF. And at no point in that journey did any of her doctors say, how's your sleep? What are you
mm,
eating? You know,
mm.
do you take any supplements?
Yeah,
Is your partner around when you ovulate?
yeah.
None of those lifestyle and but she was like, no, I've got to, she's one that, you know, she didn't take the COVID jab, for example. She's really clear of what she
Mhm,
puts in her body. But they said, here, inject this in yourself 2 times a day, every day. And she just did it. And she's come
mm.
out the other side of this. And we get to see if she's pregnant from this round or not. But they had an appointment booked for Wednesday, and she went, I can't do this anymore. And she checked in with herself, like her
Mm,
self soul, listening to self, and went, can't keep doing this.
mm.
I can't keep listening to these people, one, bleeding her of money,
Right,
because they obviously make money going through this
right,
process. I think it's cost
right.
her 17 grand so far. This
Wow.
IVF stuff is expensive.
Yes, it
And it has
is.
not been successful yet. But she's
Mm.
listening to them say, you age out of IVF in December. You won't be able to do IVF anymore. And so in her
Oh,
head, she's
wow.
going, well, I can't have babies anymore. I'm gonna have
Mm.
to have an egg donor. And I reminded her, you menstruate monthly. You have a consistent monthly cycle.
Yeah,
Why do you think you can't conceive? It's not
yeah,
like you're premenopausal.
yeah.
And she went, oh, hold on a second, you're right. And so she's checking back in with her. I have a cycle. I bleed. She's just got a more consistent cycle than I do at
Yeah, I love
45. Like
that.
there's
Yeah,
nothing in her physiology that says she can't make babies.
right.
But society was telling her and bleeding
Mm-hmm.
her of money over this narrative. So she's stepping
Mm-hmm.
back and she's going, you know what? Even if I don't conceive, the things I'm going to do now to make me healthier and prepare my body for conception are going to result in me being healthier and happier, regardless of whether I have a baby or not.
Yeah.
So she's going to an acupuncturist, she's seeing a naturopath, she's actually going to work on all the things that the doctors didn't ask her about
Mm-hmm.
and check in with herself first. And it took her a while to get there. You know, she went through this and
Yeah.
lots of higher hopes and everything else, but a lot of narratives saying she wasn't enough. And she's realized
Yeah.
actually she is enough. Um, and I think like I can't say whether she's going to successfully conceive and hold a pregnancy and result in a baby with all of this or not. But I can say that she's going to walk away from this knowing herself, listening
Mm-hmm.
to her own body, and be less likely to be hoodwinked. And not to say necessarily that IVF is hoodwinking, that's not what I'm saying at all. But these doctors didn't tell her what she was putting in her body. They didn't ask her about her diet. They didn't ask her about her sleep. They didn't ask her about her stress levels. If all of that's out of whack, I don't care whether you're 25 or 45, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
find it harder to conceive
Yeah.
because your body is in too high a state of stress.
Yeah.
And she's stepping back and going, all right, no, me first, me first.
Mm-hmm.
And like, just as that's, you know, obviously that's one of my clients that I'm working with at the moment. And that's her particular bent, you know, we're looking at it through a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual lens. We've been checking the astrology to see what's going
Mm-hmm.
on and where's the auspicious times and how full
Mm-hmm.
moons are lining up with her ovulation and all those different bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's about her listening to her body and investing in things that are actually going to result in her being a healthier version of herself. And when she's healthier and happier and stepping into that favorite version of self, she's going to be on a frequency, on a level that she's going to be able to invite those things in. Things are actually into
Exactly.
alignment with her. And so this is
Exactly.
manifestation, right?
Right, right,
Getting
right.
yourself on a level where you're actually working with something. And it's not to say you
Mm-hmm.
can't manifest a pregnancy through IVF. Of course you can. Of
Yeah.
course you can. But
Yeah.
it's really important to look at where your mindset is coming from in with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mindset is super important. Speaking
And
of
Aquarius
mindset,
is an air
yeah.
sign. So that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that Aquarius is as an air sign. Air signs rule the cerebral. It's
Yeah.
mindset. It's mindset shifts. And if that's the only thing you experience through the age of Aquarius, you don't experience aliens, you don't have a deep remembering, but the
Mm-hmm.
mindset shifts, whether it's, sending you in a higher frequency or a lower frequency, it's going to be profound.
Right. Right. Super true. Super true. How long have you been in business now, Sasha?
3 years, I think. I need to
Yeah.
check. My birthday's my business is an Aquarius as well. Another thing we have in common. Actually, I think my business's sun is conjunct my natal moon. So
Ooh,
because I've got Sun and Saturn at 0 and 6, I think my business's sun is in like about 3 degrees. So it sits there between like
right there in the
my
middle.
personal emotional needs and the challenges I'm here to experience in this lifetime and the responsibilities that I have.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm pretty certain, yeah, my business's birthday is going to be in about the time we release this,
Yeah.
um, in February. And I think that'll be my fourth birthday. Third birthday, fourth birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, 2021, I think I've is the birth of my business.
What sorts of mindset shifts, speaking of mindset and Aquarius energy and the
Mm.
cerebral, have you kind of like had to move through as a business owner? I love talking about
Oh,
this, as an entrepreneur and anybody listening who's looking to start or who's in business, this one's for you. The mindset as a spiritual entrepreneur specifically, we got to be strong.
the first one that comes to mind is money, immediately money.
Interesting. Tell me more.
I mean, again, this is something that you highlighted when I first started working with you was your money stories. And in fact, it was
Hmm.
working with you in the Divinity series
Hmm.
back at the start of 2022, 20 and
Shout out
2021.
to the Divinity series. Woo
Divinity
woo.
series, woo!
Yeah,
Changed my life. Um,
we may bring that back.
I,
I'm thinking about
I'd
it.
be, I'll tell everyone about it.
Yeah.
Um, that was when I first started tracking my money. Was
Oh,
when I
really? In
started working with
business.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
hadn't I
Yeah.
hadn't tracked anything at all, and it was actually in paying for the Divinity series that I went, I need to see how much money is coming in. So I was still on
Yeah.
maternity leave. I was getting
I
paid maternity
remember.
leave, but I
Yeah.
wasn't actively making any money. I had already started working in an MLM that had really started opening
Mm.
my eyes to the potentials of entrepreneurship and social media marketing and that kind of thing,
Mm.
but I wasn't at all tracking money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was manifesting the Divinity series so hard just as
Mm-hmm.
Venus was about to go retrograde. I remember I was agonizing about whether I make the decision and pay before Venus goes retrograde or after.
I love astrologers.
I know, right?
Priorities. I just love astrologers so much. That's
Like I got to get
amazing.
this done before Venus goes retrograde because it's not fucking with my money. But
I
I got
love
a
it.
magazine deal. Like I suddenly
Ah.
out of nowhere got a magazine deal. And got offered
Mm.
like there's one of those gossip braggy things.
Yeah, yeah,
They wanted
yeah.
to interview me about endometriosis and falling pregnant with twins, and they paid me 800
Mm.
bucks.
Yeah.
And that paid for the Vinny series. And that's when I started
Wow.
writing the money I was bringing in. It wasn't for another six
Hmm.
months that I started writing the money I was sending out.
Right.
And
But it's
again, like
baby steps though.
it's baby steps. And it was another one, like it's another ash-ism I have in my life is my business always
Mm.
pays for itself. I got that
It
from you.
does. Yeah.
And my business
Mm-hmm.
always pays for itself. And it has ever since I
Mm-hmm.
first started tracking. It wasn't until
Yeah.
nearly 2 years later that I itemized. I had an in list and an out list,
Yeah.
but they always were only just working out, even though I knew this arm of my business was always in profit. Like
Yeah.
my aromatherapy shop is consistently
Mm-hmm.
easily profitable. And I started going,
Mm-hmm.
well, the shop makes this much money, the retreats are making this much money, my clients are making this much money, I'm getting this much
Mm-hmm.
in affiliate commissions. And then same thing, this is what this is spending. And I was able to see where I was hemorrhaging money. And that really turned it around. So the year I did that,
Mm-hmm.
I went from like maybe 5% profit to 30%
Mm.
profit that year.
Fuck
But this was,
yeah.
yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Um, in the financial year to financial year. But the mindset shift that had to occur. So speaking of money stories, my money story was my mum ran her own business. So as a doctor, she contracted out. My dad ran his own business as a restaurant chef. And it just never seemed like the money added up. Mum would sit there and do the books on the weekend, and it looked like a slog, and it never worked, and she hated it. And
Mm,
my husband runs his own business, and I went off to become a teacher. So I was like, I'll become a
mhm.
teacher. I'll have a salary. I'll have a pension. I'm protected by a
Yeah,
union. I'm never going to make heaps of money, but I'm always going to have enough. And I'm going
right.
to know exactly how much is in and out. I don't have to worry about money. I don't have to think about money. It's just going to
Yeah,
work. My
yeah.
husband runs his own business, and I would see him sit there, and his business always pays for itself. He's a tradie, he's a painter.
Hmm.
But he would do this, and I could see him stress about money occasionally. Like, I don't know why you do that. I can't believe you do that. I never ever want to do that. I'm never going to do that. I
Yeah.
can't believe you're on your own business.
Interesting.
Why would you
Yeah.
risk running your own business?
Yeah.
How many people don't work? How many businesses fail?
Yeah.
And so to go from that to 30% profit last financial year,
Wow.
multiple four-figure months,
Yeah.
um, you know,
Yeah.
occasional five-figure months in only
Yeah.
3 years of business was like
Yeah.
exponential leaps in how, but a lot
Exponential
of it,
growth. Yeah.
yeah, but a lot of it was in, well, how did I think about money? But I've worked, and again, I've worked with other people like this, start small. You can't jump to where you're at. You can't, I have a book, I've hired a bookkeeper now and have an online system, which
Hmm.
we're still ironing that out because our financial year starts in July. So I'm just nutting that out at
Okay.
the moment still.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mess and I'm not enjoying it because I went from, oh, I have to track my money. I have to write
Hmm.
down how much money I'm spending
Yeah.
to, I do not have enough time. I want to get in and knuckle with my books. I want to see where I'm at. I want to know. I feel juicy.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I
And
hope
I'm
you
a
guys, not to interrupt you, Sasha, but I hope you all
no.
listening listen to the inflection in her voice, right? Because that's the change that we're looking for.
Yes.
And I've gone through the same thing. This idea, like, fuck, like I had to do my books too. I want to see what we did this quarter. I want to see
Oh,
what we
so good.
did this year. I'm
What's my
excited.
goals? Like, let me see. I want to look at it.
Yeah.
And you get into it, and you look at it and you
Mhm.
go, oh, like, and you'll see, mistakes you make or
Mhm.
money you're spending that you shouldn't have, or you'll be a bit cheeky and you'll put a dinner down as a
Yeah.
work dinner and then the money doesn't look as nice anymore and things like
Right,
that.
right,
And
right,
it's like, I
right.
know you got to do better. And it really inspires me to be better and do better and be more responsible. And it just, oh,
Hmm.
I love it. And I'm actually like, at the moment,
Yeah.
I'm stressing because I'm not seeing this. I don't actually know what my business has done so far this financial year
Hmm.
because I'm still in this in-between process, which kind of leads
Hmm.
me to the other mindset shift I've had to have, which is time. So I have
Interesting.
not having time, like at the moment, you're going to hear a limiting belief come out of my mouth, but
Hmm.
it's also reflecting my current reality.
Yeah.
I do not have time to do my books.
Hmm.
It is
Hmm.
a new system I'm unfamiliar with.
Hmm.
I have 3 kids at home under 4. We don't have any
Hmm.
childcare here.
That's crazy. God
Um,
bless.
partly we live in, like I said, butt fuck nowhere,
Yeah.
and partly um, you can't send unvaccinated children to childcares in this state.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
but you can send them to school. You can't send them to
Hmm.
childcare. So we'll
Okay.
put that over to one side for a moment. But I have
Yeah.
I have a 16-month running around like mentally. He comes into
Hmm.
my office. He can get one. He's well and truly walking. He's climbing, and he can take the lids off of bottles. So he
Oh.
comes into my office and starts playing with my oils and my sprays. And I
Hmm.
walked in here yesterday because I was grabbing something, and he came in, and I turned my back. The next minute, I've got a whole bottle. My office stinks of anise myrtle, which is a
Oh,
local thing,
wow.
and it stinks like licorice in here.
Oh my goodness.
So I
That's
can't actually
funny.
work in this space at all unless it's like the
Yeah.
time we're recording is my 2.5 hours of kid free time. And then when my husband's home on weekends.
Yeah.
But I've been in and out of markets. Like I've been on a big market, like taking my shop around to various events. I was at a wellness
Hmm.
festival on the weekend. I've got a Christmas market next weekend. I'm not
Yeah.
home to do work on weekends. And so
Right.
I get here and go, I don't have time to do my books. And then I get resentful about that.
Mm.
Part of it is choices I've made in my business that are very deliberate. I don't work at night. I don't sit in front of computer screens at night because it spikes my
Yeah.
cortisol. And my
Yeah.
origin story is infertility. I'm not throwing my endocrine system out. My business is not that
Yeah.
important. Like if you
Yeah.
think about what's sacred to me, my health comes before my business. And because of that,
Yeah.
my business is successful because I have
Yeah.
some really strong boundaries. But I mean, like,
And
I
just
don't
to
have time.
just
Yeah.
to add to that too, I fully agree with that. And I think the folks listening, we don't have to run our businesses the way we think we need to. I also have strong boundaries on when I'm working and how long I'm working and
Mm-hmm.
how long I'm working for and when I take clients and when things have to be
Mm-hmm.
moved around. And I think that is really important to speak on, especially as spiritual entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
We move a bit differently because so much of our work is energy based. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just speaking about this I am just the other day, like I don't want to go get a Reiki service done by somebody who looks all tired and haggard and stressed the fuck out and her right eye is
Yeah.
like fucking twitching. I don't want you working on my chakra system. We
Nope.
can reschedule. It's okay.
Yeah.
And so I think that's very important to know what you said, because one of the things I see all the time is when people want to step into this work professionally, they feel like it has to be modeled after the traditional Monday through Friday 9 to 5 work day that
Mm-hmm.
the patriarchy's designed. And it's just not true. We don't go into business for ourselves to do it that way. So I love
No.
that you brought that up.
No. I had a thing and it just left, and that's okay.
I'm
But it's
so sorry. It was
no, no, no,
we were
no, no,
talking the nine to
don't
five.
apologize,
Yeah.
because it you know what, your brain is like mine. The Gemini
Yeah.
Sagittarius thing. 48 things happened while you were speaking, and if I'm
Yeah.
lucky to remember any of them, I'm lucky to remember any of them, So you got
Yeah.
this is why we interrupt each other, because we're okay with it. We
I
know
love it.
we're
Yeah.
gonna lose it if we don't. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, the time thing. So I don't have time to work on my books, so I'm stressed about money,
Mm-hmm.
but my business always pays for itself, and that's okay. And the flip side
Right.
of this is knowing that I don't have enough time, is
Mm-hmm.
that it's always going to be enough. What I
Mm-hmm.
can do now is going to be enough. It's
Yes.
always going to be enough.
Amen.
And some of that
Mm-hmm.
is outsourcing. I'll tell
Yep.
everyone a secret. I don't write my weekly emails.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, when my girl learned my brand voice and she went to
Yep.
town, and I was like, girl, you're
Yep.
doing a great job. I think she
Yep.
studied my stuff because she sounds just like me. And I'm like,
Some of it's copy, like some of it,
yeah.
and this is
Mm-hmm.
it's like smarter, not harder, right? Some of it is like,
Yes.
here's an Instagram reel that I wrote that I send to my website, which shout out to
Mm-hmm.
Kyra. I
Mm-hmm.
know you because of Kyra. Send it to
Mm-hmm.
her and she turns it into an email and sends it all out and does it all. Sometimes it's literally like I'll get an email in an inbox and I'll be like, nice. Go
Yeah.
Sasha, you're amazing.
Yes.
But I pay for that. But
Yeah.
I budget that.
Yep.
So the other really big one that I stick with a lot is done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
have an email that isn't quite my voice. And sometimes, Kyra will stress, like, oh, I'm not so happy about this month's email. I'm like, just send it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got
It's
about a
okay.
30 to 40% open rate. Like 60% of people
Yeah.
didn't open anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
And
like, that's another
also,
reflection. Like, that's the realness, is 100% of people will not open your emails.
oh my God, we could talk all day about email
Oh my
marketing.
God.
I mean, yeah, we'll put that to the side for another
It doesn't matter
conversation.
that much. Like last week's email went
Mm,
out 2 days late, and I said there was
mm.
literally no one in my universe who was sitting there on Tuesday going, "Where's Sasha's email?"
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
okay. That's
And
okay.
even if they are, the email's coming. Done is better than
And
perfect.
if they are, they're also the first ones to understand that I have a life and I have
Exactly.
kids and I have a family. Like if they're that invested
Mm-hmm.
in me, they're waiting for my weekly email.
Right.
They're got to check in on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
There are also the people who work with me that are really used to me messaging them and saying, my kid's not
Mm-hmm.
asleep. I'm going to be 10 minutes late.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
mother-in-law
Mm-hmm.
hasn't left yet. I'm going to be 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
kid's sick. I need to reschedule. And they don't even flinch. Like, yep, no worries. It's fine.
Right. Right.
I've had clients come into my office. Like I have a few, because obviously a lot of what I do is remote because of how remote I am. I've had people
Mm-hmm.
come to my office and have like balances and healing sessions here with my kids like banging on the door or coming in and helping. And
Yeah.
if they didn't want a healer, then they wouldn't come to me. This is
Right.
that whole soul client thing.
100%. And just going back to done is better than perfect. I love that you
Mm-hmm.
brought that up, because another thing I see all the time are people waiting to put out their stuff until it's perfect. They're waiting to put out the freebie. They're waiting to put out the email. They're waiting to press post on the Instagram post because it's not, quote, perfect. That doesn't really exist. And it kind of brings me to my next question when we're talking about this and business and all that. Have you, and I've known you for a while, Sasha, so I wouldn't be surprised if the answer is no, but have you had to work through any sort of visibility blocks as a spiritual entrepreneur, showing up online, talking
Mm,
about your offers, posting the thing on Instagram that may be a little cringy, like what has
mm.
that been like stepping out and being like, this is what I do, this is what I offer, this is
Mm,
how much I offer it for, this is what it's like to sit with me. What is that?
mm.
What does your story look like, your arc, if you will, look like as a business
Yeah,
owner?
well, I mean, I've been a witch forever, but I would never talk about it. And I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
closeted, but it wasn't like it would lead with that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I know what you mean.
and stepping into entrepreneurship, you've got a great podcast about being an entrepreneur and being a spiritual entrepreneur and the differences in that
Yeah,
and every single thing.
yeah,
Like if you haven't listened to that, go find that episode because it's
it's a good
real.
one.
It's,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
um, my husband becoming a painter, no one flinched. My brother-in-law is going
Right.
from mechanicking to beekeeping in his
Oh,
40s.
interesting.
And no, and you look at it, like, oh, is
Yeah,
that a smart business decision financially?
you're
But no
right.
one looks at a Gen X man, stepping into another role that is seen as, necessary and reasonable. And oh, he's doing
Mm-hmm.
beekeeping. Not something I
Mm-hmm.
would have expected, but how cool is that? Like, of course, like, yeah, let's support
Right,
him to be a beekeeper.
right,
When you step into astrology,
right, right,
Reiki,
right.
even aromatherapy for me, I
Mm-hmm.
really felt I had to go and get the certificate that said that I had
Yeah,
done the hours that backs it up with the
yeah,
science. And part of the reason I did it was because I love the science. I want to be able to
right.
say copaiba is
Mm-hmm.
anti-inflammatory, and here's why. I want to be able to say that
Mm-hmm.
this oil is antiseptic and this one is antimicrobial and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't do that in the MLM I was working in. So I went and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't leave, but I've gone and done my own thing and gone beyond that. But it came from
Mm-hmm.
that place of like, I had to be real, I had to be legit. I had to be able to evidence it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
to, I mean, now as I come back to that word way shower, the evidence is what is it? The proof is in the pudding.
Mm-hmm.
And people who've been following along, they see it.
Right.
Everyone who was following me in the lead up to giving birth to my son knows that I couldn't walk. My sciatica
Yeah,
was
girl.
so bad
You were
that
big mama.
I was struggling, but I was struggling to move. I was a full risk
Yeah,
because I was in so much pain, and I really struggled to start moving and to stop
yeah.
moving. And I went and saw my healer, my kinesiologist, who then I studied under her. And an hour later, I was completely pain free, and I couldn't remember. 3 days later, I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, did I just spend 5 weeks in agony?" An hour
Kinesiology, huh? Wow.
kinesiology, yeah. So I've studied with her this year. Um, for people who might doubt, like, what's that kinesiology thing you do? Well, remember that sciatica I had? Remember how it went
Yeah.
away overnight? That's what I'm doing. That's what I do now, as on top of everything I was already doing. And it's gotten a lot easier, even thinking of myself as a multidimensional being,
Which you
um,
are. We all are, you
which we
know.
all are.
I
But
think
it's
you just
it
proved that with all the different things that you do, which I love because we all know on the
yeah,
podcast I do a lot of shit too. And
yeah, yeah.
I love an ambitious bitch. Do your big one.
Yeah,
You
right.
know what I
I'm also
mean?
studying Taoism at the same time.
Yeah.
Because Gemini Sagittarius, right? If we are not signed up to 6 programs at once,
Then what are we
you need to
doing?
hand in your Gemini
Exactly.
Sagittarius card. You don't get to hang out with
What are
us.
we doing? Exactly. It's so funny. I'm
Don't
shopping
pick
right
up a
now
book.
for a medium to train me so I can strengthen
Mm,
up my ability
yeah.
to see within other dimensions. Of course, it was quite strong when I was younger as a Cancer rising,
Yeah.
and the
And a kid.
Akashic, yeah, and the Akashic records kind of opened it up again, and I'm ready to really immerse myself in that.
Mm,
But I know I want to study under somebody than trying to do it myself.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
funny
And
that you brought that
that's
up.
but that's so and this is so here's an
Hmm.
interesting mindset shift between, right? So there's the like, I have to study under someone. There's
Hmm.
the deficit mindset that goes that it's not real unless I do it with someone else. Like someone else has to
Mm-hmm.
tell me what to do or it's not real.
Yeah,
I need a
yeah,
certificate or I'm not legit.
yeah.
Versus
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get a mentor so I don't
Mm-hmm.
waste time working this out myself.
Exactly
That
that.
that is like, I know you've talked about education being a soul contract and how we all have a soul contract with
Yeah.
education, that we have a hierarchy of what constitutes good education and bad education.
Right,
And
right.
a PhD is better than a certificate three. And if
Mm-hmm.
someone's got this, then they are more worthy or more valid or more
Mm-hmm.
important or smarter or better than someone who
Yeah.
has, someone with a
Like
level
a
three
GED.
in,
Yeah.
but someone with a level three in Reiki
Mm-hmm.
must know more than someone who has no Reiki certificate and is just laying hands on you. That
Mm-hmm.
person might have 30 years of experience of laying hands,
Mm-hmm.
But the person with a certificate who's been doing it for 3 months, we
Right.
have that thing with education. So it's just about like, and this comes back to the
We
discernment
do.
piece. Are you
Mm-hmm.
doing, like, I know I did my, and it was twofold. Like, there's an insurance aspect to it that we can't forget about when you're working with people. But
Right.
I know that um my certificate in aromatherapy was to legitimize what I was already doing. It wasn't, and
Yeah.
it still isn't to this day, it educated me better and shortcutted me to a better practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really. I
Mm-hmm.
could have got insurance without the certificate. I want
Mm-hmm.
to say that. I could have got insurance without the certificate. The certificate, I did it because I came up for a deficit. I don't know enough. I'm not legit enough. There is
Mm-hmm.
no certificate you can do to be a retreat facilitator.
Right.
I just had to do that. And I
Yeah.
didn't sit there and go, you know what, I don't have a certificate. I'm not really a real retreat
Yeah.
facilitator. Like,
Yeah.
be really clear about like why are you doing why, and this is whether you're signing up with a coach, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're reading a book, whether you're doing a
Mm-hmm.
course. Are
Mm-hmm.
you doing it because you think you're not enough without it? Or because, like, let's not fuck around and waste time.
Yeah.
Like your leadership thing, like, oh, I want to anchor myself in this. Of course you can nut this out yourself. You don't need anyone
Right.
else to tell you what to do or how to
Right.
do it. But there's a working with a mentor that's gonna, there's something I work with a mentor that makes you go from here to here in a lot shorter time frame. And again,
Yeah.
limiting belief, there's no reason you can't get yourself there in that amount of time either, but you've also got a lot of other shit to do. So
Exactly.
signing up with a mentor, giving yourself a bit of structure and a bit of outside accountability is very different to saying, I can't be a medium without having signed up with this person, you're getting their certificate.
Exactly. I love that you brought that up. I
Mm.
think that's super, super
And
important.
it happens in business all the time.
All the time. All the time. Like we think somebody knows something we don't know. The thing about it is, I mean, two things can be true at the same time. I
Mm.
believe in investing in mentorship. I
Yeah.
think you hit the nail on the head. It's about why am I going to waste time when I can sit in space and communion with somebody who is where I desire to be.
Mm.
And also, I'm making a friend, a collaborator. Entrepreneurship is
Oh,
lonely. Spiritual community is lonely.
yes.
All the friends we can get. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And
It's so
So I've
true.
worked in group programs in mentor. I've been in mentorship and coaching consistently since I did Divinity
Same.
series with you in
Hmm.
December of 2021.
Yeah.
Non-stop basically listening to it. And if I'm not
Yeah.
actively with one, it's because I'm taking a month or two off before I go with the
Hmm.
next person. I'm booked,
Exactly.
like I know who I'm booked with, but I went from group programs to individual
Hmm.
programs. So I've been doing individual programs for the last year. I'm loving that,
Yeah.
but I'm already getting lonely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, next year I'm working individually and I'm like, this is good. Like, this is really targeted at me. This person is not bothering
Mm.
other people. They're just talking to me and my things. They're not like,
Yeah.
hey, here's a little masterclass we're doing as a group about
Right.
email marketing. I
Hmm.
don't need that. What I need you to do is
Right.
go and look at my analytics and
Yes.
read my copy.
Yeah.
And a group coach doesn't have time for that in that context. So I'm like thinking,
Right.
siren versus sacred and sought after.
Yeah.
That they're both
Well,
really important, but
hmm.
now I'm going like, oh, there's so much time in individual programs that I'm already looking at 2026 at
Right.
a group program, a local group program in 2026, because I'm like, I need to come back to people. I need to network. I need to connect with individuals on an individual level.
Hmm.
It's not that there won't be, as always, are going to be a personal aspect to it, but I really need to like,
Hmm.
I'm about, I've been quite insular. I've just had a baby. I'm still very much an early postpartum, and I'm still going to be there throughout 2025. My
Hmm.
son will turn 2 in July. My girls will start school in July. Holy shit.
Wow.
They're gonna
That's gonna
start
be
school,
fun.
Ash. Oh my God.
That's
But
gonna be so
I also,
fun.
but I'm gonna have more time.
Yeah. Yeah, you will.
And then I'm gonna be looking at like, oh, it'll be easier for me to travel for a in-person program and do
Hmm.
the retreat as a part of that. I was looking at it for next year, well, for this year, 2025, and it just, I can't do it yet. Kids too young. I've been out for training too much in 2024. But looking at like that group, that connectivity, that having people who are on the same path, who are doing the same thing, who understand it. Like, what's that quote about? You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah, that's
Like,
exactly it.
if you're trying to be an entrepreneur and you're going at it alone and it feels like shit, is it because no one else in your life is an entrepreneur? Is it because no one else in your life is
Right.
spiritual?
I know.
Get invest in a group program with other people doing the same shit as you.
It
That's going
really
to
is a
pay off
game
more,
changer.
and it's going to shift you. It's going to because the 5 people you spend the most time with is going to shift
Mm-hmm.
to
It
people who are
is.
in alignment. And then we're back to the conversation about frequency and dimension. You're moving dimensionally with
Mm-hmm.
souls who are on the same path, who are doing the same thing.
It's so true. It's so true.
Oh, this is juicy.
Such a rich conversation. Speaking of like working with and all of that, Sasha, how can the people work with you if they are like picking up what you're putting down and they're like, holy shit, I need this woman in my life. What are you offering right now? How can
What
they
am I
get into your
offering?
universe?
So if you are in Australia, in particularly South Australia, but I mean, I have people traveling from New South Wales for their third and fourth retreat. I run a spirit, it's called the Spiritual Homemakers Retreat. It's not a business retreat or anything like that. It's very much a community building, confidence building, empowerment event. We have a body positivity photo shoot, and people are pretty scared to get their kid off in the creek with a bunch of ladies and take photos. But even if you don't use the photos or anything, it'll be the most high
Freeing
vibe.
thing.
Yeah, it's so empowering. It's the what it'll do for your confidence and your sense of self is just out of this world. So that one's my next one's in March, and then I think the one later in the year is September. That's we'll link that below. Of course, if you're not in Australia or budget wise or time wise, or whatever else, I do one-off consults. So if you just want to work with me and see what I'm like, I do one-off consults, of course. I have a 3-month coaching container. I'll probably be in the next round when this one gets released, but reach out at any time. At the time of recording, I don't actually have a sales page or anything for that yet. It's very much like, do you need to work with this? And I really
Mm-hmm.
like longer form relationships. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, in 1 hour, we can do so much in 1 hour,
Yeah.
but when that call finishes, did you just go back to your default programming?
Mm-hmm.
Shifting that default programming, embodying the version of self that you're trying to get to. That's my 3-month coaching container. It's called Embody, funnily enough.
Yeah.
But I also have a close friends list, which is like a Patreon type thing. Like you pay a monthly
Mm-hmm.
subscription, you're in my universe, there's free stuff, there's heaps of discounts. And I have a higher tier that has a half-hour call with me every month. So if you want to just
Nice.
like little bit, like working
Mm-hmm.
consistently, it's that the healer needs a healer type thing. If you are
Yep.
working in these world, like I've got a Reiki practitioner who suffers
Mm-hmm.
burnout and imposter syndrome. I've got
Mm-hmm.
um uh spiritual what's I'm thinking of someone in particular and I can't think of the words to describe what she does, but she comes to me to get like clarity and a lot of soul healing and balancing. And she
Mm-hmm.
comes in person actually, and we just clear the shit, whether it's her
Yeah.
sciatica or her imposter syndrome or whatever it is. I've got women who are trying to fall pregnant or who are trying to heal their body because I do a lot coming from
Mm-hmm.
infertility and working with my naturopath. I do a lot with women's hormone health as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, anything I'm picking up, you putting down, that's nice. It's the most cost-effective way to work with me. Um, and that's yeah, every month, half an hour with me, face to face, recorded every single month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what else I'm offering. I have some plans for 2025 that I'm still just still hang up on the shelf.
Yeah.
But remote plans because I have my big in-person thing. And I know that, my listeners and my friends in Canada and Germany and Guam and the US and everywhere else can't just hop on a plane to come to Australia for a 2-day event. So
Yeah.
looking at how I can build an event for you guys. I have a plan. Maybe by the time this releases, I'll be able to tell you exactly what that is. But
Ew.
I'll be
Well,
working with Sarah then, so we'll see. That's going to be a
okay.
level up. Yeah.
Fantastic. I absolutely love it. So, I'm just so happy to hear all of it, all of the things. I'm so happy to see you growing. I'm so
Mm.
happy to see that. And all of your contact info will be below.
Yeah. It's
And
just the Pagan Homemaker.
it'll all be below. And thank you so much for coming on the Goddess Complex, girlfriend. I appreciate
Thank you so
it.
much for having me back. I love this.
Of
I love
course.
coming here. I love riffing with you.
Yeah.
It really is an honor.
Oh, I
Thanks to
appreciate
everyone for
that. I
listening.
appreciate that. And you already know the drill, friends. lengthy episode. Leave us a 5-star review. Subscribe on the YouTube. When you all do this, it means so much more to me than it does to you. And it helps baby
Hmm.
witches, baby entrepreneurs, folks that are like going through a spiritual awakening that don't know what the hell's going on. It helps them find this soul work. And the reach
And not
is
to mention
paramount.
that if the share and tag, like this is something I wish that I could impress in people who don't have the financial capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're listening to a free podcast like the Goddess Complex, or you're
Mm-hmm.
watching my stories and consuming our content, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't invest at this time. There's nothing wrong with that. Invest the 3 extra seconds it takes to share.
That's it.
If you share and tag, that goes such a long way
It really
to
does.
all entrepreneurs. That goes a long way to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that tiny little bit that you do, that makes a massive, massive difference in our lives.
It
So
really
please share
does.
and
I couldn't
tag.
have said it. Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much.
Thank
Awesome,
you.
awesome. All right, friends, I will see you in the next one. Let us know what you thought. Ciao, ciao for now.
Bye.
Hello, friends. I hope you loved today's episode. Make sure you share it with a friend, share it with somebody that you love, and tag me on the gram at Ashley Michelle 90day and let me know your thoughts. Leaving that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify is literally what helps this work get to the right people. As you may or may not know, we are in the middle of a spiritual revolution, and us being able to get our hands on resources like this podcast and others is what is literally going to make the world go round. So do me this favor and please leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and share the episode with somebody you love. It really, truly does mean the world to me. I love you so very much, and I will see you in the next one.